Okay, we have the engine taken off the tractor, upside down on the bench here. I've removed the water pump cover and then the water pump itself. The 5 bolts are on the top, just take care of the cover, and then there's one more bolt here that's only involved with the actual pump itself. I took both those two off. Those two over here, pump cover. I have not scraped off the gaskets yet. On the actual crankcase cover here, I've gone ahead and removed the bolts. I numbered them first according to the directions here. There's their bolt numbering scheme. But starting from the oil fill, or starting rather from underneath the coolant reservoir, we have 5, 1, 3, 7, and then around this side we have 6, 2, 4, and 8. So I took the bolts out in reverse order, which I'm not sure it matters much when you're taking it apart, but cracked them all loose. So one thing I'll note is that whenever I pulled these hoses off, and the cover came right off when I took the bolts out, but the actual pump itself, after I took this bolt out, was in there really tight. I had to whack it a few times here with the rubber mallet to get it loose, just kind of gently on this underside here to get it loose, but it popped free. I imagine I'm going to have to use the hammer again to try and get this cover loose too. The cover's off. Came off pretty easily. The only thing I had to do was take this little key out of the shaft because it was kind of rubbing on the seal as it came out, and I didn't want to have it have a problem going back on. So on the inside here, on the engine side, we have our plastic cam gear that has to get removed. Obviously our crankshaft. There's not much oil in there. It's mostly all drained out. Most of the work we're going to be doing is going to be on the cover side. We're going to replace our governor gear, replace our oil gear because it's plastic as well. Might as well replace it. Just in case, here's our governor linkage. Presses right here. When you press down on that, it's moving the governor. I bought a new linkage in case this one's worn out. I can see a little wear spot right on there. You can see in the video. This little guy here is definitely worn on the top too, so I may replace that governor linkage at the same time. I'll want to make a mark on there when I do that. I did make a mark on the key and the keyway when I took it out so I could get it roughly back where it needs to go. So I've rotated crankshaft until the 2 timing marks are perfectly lined up, which is the dot on the metal side and this little bump on the plastic side. And then at that point, the gear should just lift up off of all the cams. The cam lobe should be untensioned at that point, and the gear should just lift off just like that. And we have our new metal gear right there inside the bag. And this guy is going to go in the trash, although we'll do some examination of it while it's out. Okay, here's our hole where the camshaft was. I wanted to share one little thing. Again, this is the first time I've taken an engine apart, so this is a little new to me, but I noticed that the tension on my tappet was completely lost after I had pulled the cam out for several of the tappets, as though the connecting rod, the push rod, had fallen loose. So anyway, I took the rocker cover off, the valve cover, and sure enough, these guys had just come loose. So they just slip right back in, slip right onto the rocker as you'd expect. So anyway, panic over. That wasn't such a big deal. I'll be able to put those back together. I needed to take this off anyway to check and replace the springs and some other stuff, so not a big deal. All right, an update on where we're at. I have the, I replaced the governor arm, but it looks like that seal there, it's got a lot of gap around the arm itself, so I'm probably gonna order a new seal for that. Since I already have the whole engine apart, might as well just get that taken care of. I did loosen the fuel pump from the chassis, from the frame, from the engine, because I'm going to replace it anyway, and I noticed that the pressure that the seal's pushing in there is going to prevent me from putting the case cover back on. So I just loosen this up. This also relaxed the tension on the fuel pump's rod, so that I can put the camshaft in and out a little easier to kind of test things out. There's the rocker arm covers taken off. I have removed the water pump gear first. Sorry, the oil pump gear first. This is my new gear I've put on. It's pretty straightforward. Three bolts come out. The whole assembly comes out. There's this little pin where my fingers are. Take that pin out, slide the top off. Then you can slide the rod up, pull the second pin out, swap the gear out, put it all back together. Now before I put this back on, I'm going to set a couple pieces of wood across here so I can pry this governor gear out of here without breaking the case itself. And then once I get that out, I'll put this guy back in. Alright, I've got my new governor put together, put the little sleeve on top of the gear. I've replaced the washer, put a little bit of oil around both sides of the washer and then inside here before I put this on. I checked the height of the rod after putting the washer on. It says measure without the washer, but people online have said that you measure with the washer, and it's roughly, I believe, 32.5 millimeters is the expected height. So I'm going to put this gear back on here, and then I'm going to bolt the new oil gear back on, and then I'll be mostly done with this here other than scraping off this gasket. I replaced the governor shaft seal here by pulling the governor shaft out this way. You had to turn the crank so that the counterweights are not in your way. But I pulled that out, and then I just sort of pried that seal out with a screwdriver, and then put the new one in with the two lift edges facing in the engine, and just kind of pressed it in with my thumb until it was about a millimeter lower than the surface of the aluminum, like the instructions say. Easy to do.